The day my husband retired was supposed to feel like a celebration. For years we had counted down to it, imagining peaceful mornings, shared tea, long walks, and finally having time for each other. No more deadlines, no more stress, no more waiting. But the silence that followed his retirement wasn't peaceful. It was unsettling. At first I told myself it was just an adjustment. He slept later than usual. He spent hours sitting in the living room, staring at the television, without really watching it. The man who once rushed out of the house every morning with purpose now seemed lost. One afternoon, I watched him from the kitchen. He sat there, motionless, remote in hand, eyes distant. I realized something that made my chest tighten. He didn't know what to do with himself anymore. And slowly, I began to feel something else too. Disconnection. Before retirement, we missed each other. We looked forward to evenings, to small conversations, to stolen moments. Now we had all the time in the world, and nothing to say. One evening we sat across from each other at the dining table. The food was warm, but the atmosphere was cold. "How was your day?" I asked out of habit. He gave a faint smile. "Same as yesterday." We both fell silent. I tried to ignore the strange emptiness growing between us, but it refused to go away. It lingered in the quiet, in the absence of laughter, in the way we avoided each other's eyes. That night, as I lay awake beside him, I stared at the ceiling and wondered, had retirement taken away more than just his job? Because for the first time in years, I felt like I was sleeping next to a stranger. The arguments didn't begin with shouting. They started quietly, almost harmlessly, small complaints that slipped into our conversations like cracks in glass. "You forgot to buy milk again." "You're always watching TV. You never listen anymore." At first I brushed them off, but the more time we spent together, the more those small irritations grew into something heavier. Before retirement, we barely noticed each other's habits. Now, every little thing felt amplified. The way he left dishes in the sink, the way I repeated myself, the way neither of us really listened anymore. One morning I asked him to make tea. He sighed loudly, as if I had asked for something unreasonable. "You're home all day," he said. "Why can't you do it?" The words stung more than they should have. "I've always done everything," I snapped. "What changed now?" He looked at me, frustration building. Everything changed. My life changed. The room fell silent after that. Later that evening, the tension exploded. "I feel like I don't belong here anymore," he said suddenly, his voice sharp but wounded. I froze. "This is your home." "It doesn't feel like it," he replied. His words echoed in my mind long after he walked away. That night we went to bed without speaking. But it wasn't the kind of silence that feels comfortable. It was heavy, painful, full of things we didn't know how to say. As I lay there, staring into the darkness, I realized something terrifying. We weren't just arguing. We were slowly pushing each other away. Days turned into weeks, and the distance between us became impossible to ignore. He started going out more often. At first, it seemed harmless. Morning walks, short errands, fresh air. But then his outings became longer. He would leave in the afternoon and return late, sometimes after dinner. And something about him had changed. He seemed lighter when he left, quieter when he returned. I noticed the small details. The way he checked his phone more often. The way he smiled at messages he wouldn't show me. The way he locked his screen the moment I entered the room. A feeling I hadn't felt in years crept into my heart. Suspicion. One evening, I couldn't hold it in anymore. "Where do you go every day?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He paused, just for a second, but it was enough. "Just out," he replied casually. That hesitation said more than his words ever could. That night, I lay awake, my thoughts racing. Memories flooded my mind. Our younger days, our laughter, the life we had built together. Was it all slipping away now? The idea felt unbearable, but the doubt wouldn't leave me. The next day I watched him leave again, dressed more neatly than usual. As the door closed behind him, a painful thought settled deep inside me. Was there someone else? My heart pounded as I stood there alone, realizing that the distance between us wasn't just emotional anymore. It was turning into something far more dangerous. I couldn't carry the doubt any longer. That evening when he walked in late again, I was waiting. "Where were you?" I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. He looked surprised. "Out where?" I pressed. He sighed, clearly exhausted. "Why does it matter?" "Because it does," I snapped. "Because you've been hiding things from me." He stared at me, confusion turning into frustration. "I'm not hiding anything." "Then tell me the truth," I said, my voice shaking. "Are you seeing someone?" The question hung in the air, heavy and unbearable. For a moment he said nothing. My heart sank. Then he slowly sat down, his shoulders slumped. "I go to the park," he said quietly. I frowned. "That's it?" "I sit there," he continued, his voice softer now. "I try to understand who I am without my job, without a purpose." His words hit me like a wave. "I feel useless," he admitted. All the anger inside me disappeared instantly, replaced by something far worse: guilt. While I was accusing him of betrayal, he had been fighting a battle I never even noticed. "I didn't know," I whispered. "You didn't ask," he replied gently. That hurt, because it was true. For so long, I had focused on what I was losing. I never stopped to see what he had already lost. The next morning felt different. Not lighter, not easier, but honest. For the first time in months we sat together, without anger between us. There was still pain, still distance, but there was also something new. Understanding. "I thought you didn't need me anymore," I admitted quietly. He looked at me, his eyes tired but sincere. "I thought I wasn't enough for you." Those words broke something inside me, and healed something at the same time. We talked for hours. About fear, about loneliness, about how retirement had changed not just our routine, but our sense of identity. Somewhere along the way, we had stopped being partners. We had become strangers, sharing the same space. "I didn't lose you," I said softly. "I just stopped reaching for you." He nodded. "And I stopped trying to be seen." We didn't fix everything that day, but we started. We began with small things: morning tea together, short walks, simple conversations without distractions. Slowly, the silence between us began to change. It no longer felt empty. It felt peaceful again. I realized something important. Retirement didn't break our marriage. It exposed the cracks we had ignored for years. And maybe that was necessary, because sometimes you have to come close to losing everything to finally understand what truly matters. And as I sat beside him, watching the sun rise, I knew our story wasn't ending.